Privyet! Welcome to the video. In this multi-part series, we will explore some of the uniforms, equipment, and weapons used by Soviet soldiers and paratroopers during the Afghan conflict. This first part will be about the uniforms used. Let's get into the video. Starting off, we have the M69 or OBR-69 uniform. Until 1969, Soviet forces had continued to use the old World War II-style M43 Gimnastroyka uniform. Seeing other countries evolve their uniforms, the Soviets felt the need to do the same. The M43 was only a partial button-down shirt, while the M69 evolved into a button-down top with 5 plastic or polished brass buttons sporting the hammer and sickle. In peacetime, Soviet soldiers often wore collar tabs and shoulder boards indicating their branch and rank. This practice could be seen in the Soviet-Afghan War but was not always the case. The summer variant was made out of a cotton material, while the winter version was made from a thicker material and was typically worn with a Ushanka. Soviet soldiers continued to wear these uniforms until around 1988, when it was replaced by the M88 Afghanka. Some Soviet paratroopers, on the other hand, replaced their M69s with the M88 Afghanka in around late 1983. The M69 also had a variant that was the main dress uniform for the Soviet Army. This version saw use until the collapse of the Soviet Union. The war in Afghanistan had showed the M69 was not an ideal garment in the terrain of Afghanistan. The M69 only had 2 short pockets on the pants and tunic respectively. The trousers were also designed to be used with the Kurza-style boots, which were commonly replaced by soldiers with laced-up combat boots. The solution to this problem was the M88 Afghanka. The M88 was an evolution of the OKZK uniform, which had been produced in small numbers during the mid to late 70s. The M88 sported a khaki color like the M69. It is worth mentioning that the Soviets produced the M88 in TTSKO as well. Some post-Soviet countries made garments with different patterns as well. The M88 featured a design similar to the American M81BDU. The M88 had 4 spacious pockets on the chest and 1 on each arm. There was also a large cargo pocket on each leg. The uniform was also loose-fitting as opposed to the M69. A winter version with a liner and faux fur collar was also produced. Both variants were well-liked by the troops and continued to see service many years after the fall of the Soviet Union. Some variants for special units also had the lower front pockets on the jacket removed. Moving on, we have the camouflage masking suits. The most common were the KLMK and KZS suits. While the TTSKO variant of the Afghanka did exist, it was not as common as the masking suits just mentioned. Starting off, we have the KLMK. The KLMK was a lightweight single-piece masking suit produced starting in 1968. The KLMK was designed to break the user's shape to the eye and protect them from some night vision devices. The suit was produced in the pattern known today as Berezka. In warmer climates like Afghanistan, Soviet soldiers often wore the suit without a full uniform underneath. A simple face mask was included with the suit but was not always worn. The evolution of the KLMK was the KZS suit. The KZS was a 2-piece button-up protective suit designed to protect the wearer from a nuclear flash. The suit was commonly worn due to its masking properties. It was in the same camouflage pattern as the KLMK, though it featured a different color variation. The hood from the suit was sometimes cut off to make a helmet cover for the SSH-68 helmet. Underneath the uniforms of Soviet VDV paratroopers was the Telnyashka. The Telnyashka was a blue and white striped shirt. The VDV commonly wore this shirt proudly to show off their elite status. Footwear used by the Soviet Army varied greatly. Most troops wore the Kurza-style boots or laced-up combat boots. A copy of an American sneaker dubbed the Moskva was commonly used by VDV recon units and scouts. The most common headwear used were the M35 Panamka along with the patrol cap issued with the M88. The M35 was similar to modern boonie hats and was issued to troops in warmer climates starting in 1935. Soviet soldiers commonly wore the standard faux leather/canvas belt with a shiny gold buckle. This covers the basic uniforms worn by Soviet soldiers and paratroopers in the Afghan conflict. Other groups like the GRU and Spetsnaz used both similar and different uniforms. Of course, there is much more yet to be learned about the uniforms worn, as some information is scarce in the West. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Much more to come, so stay tuned.